Hi, I'm Dr. Jeff Donatello, and if you watch this video, then you or someone you know or love, whether it's a family member or a friend of the family, suffers from cancer. So welcome to Cancer, How to Obtain Maximum Healing. In the next 30 minutes, you're going to understand that there's a whole other world on how we help people with cancer, other than cutting, radiation, and chemotherapy. There's a whole other world. So I really want you to sit back, take some notes, watch this video a couple times. If you are scheduled for a consultation in my office, watch the whole video. You're going to learn a lot. All right, so let's start off. Once again, my name is Dr. Jeff Donatello. I am a chiropractor, I'm a nutritionist, and I'm a fellow of Integrative Cancer Therapy. That's an American Medical-sponsored fellowship from the University of South Florida. And this is comprised of over 300 doctors, healthcare professionals from all over the planet who realize that there is another world out there. So what do you do when you've been diagnosed with cancer? And hopefully it's not you, but most of the people that come in our office are end stage, meaning they're stage 3 or 4. They've been given no hope. And they've been told you have this many months, or this many weeks, or this many years, whatever it is, to live. And when that happens, you have to sit back and say, all right, what do I do? And I think you either have two options. You pack it in, you get your things in order, and you give up, or you gain knowledge, you dig, you find out what else is out there. And right now, in the next 30 minutes, we're going to talk to you about what else is out there. Because this isn't some quackery or stuff that's not based on scientific evidence. This is legit stuff, and it really works. So sit back, take some notes, and we're going to talk about it. Okay? First of all, I'm not an oncologist. You need an oncologist. It's important that you have an oncologist. Hopefully it's a good oncologist, one that understands that there is another side to the cancer coin. An integrative oncologist, like the instructors I have in my program, qualified ones. I'm not offering you a treatment for your cancer or a cure. It's not about that. We're going to talk a little bit more to understand what that means. If you watch this video, it's on the internet, so it could be all over the world. I want to let you know where we're located because we do have people that fly in, and we have a 4-day fly-in program where you come in on Monday and we go through the whole thing with you and you leave on Thursday. We are on the coast of Maine, 1 hour north of Boston, right here in a small town called Kittery, Maine. So that's where we are. All right, so one of the things that you have to realize is hope. This isn't about giving you false hope. All right, what you need to realize is that if you don't believe that you are going to get better and you are going to get over cancer and go on to live a healthy life and thrive, you will never, ever get better. That's a fact. You have to believe that. I remember a story about a tightrope walker. This man was in the circus, and day after day he climbed the tower and walked across the rope. And I remember the interviewer asking him, how do you do it day after day and not fall? And he said, well, it's simple. He said, I envision myself on the other side of the rope or the wire. I see myself over there. And until you see yourself as a cancer survivor, you won't be one. So you have to do that. Who knows how many days you have left? Nobody knows that. When you were given that number, which I hate when they do that, when they say you have 3 months to live, they don't know. That doctor is not God. Only God knows how many days, weeks, months you have left. Nobody knows that. They're basing that on the protocols that they've used to work with people with your similar cancers. They don't keep track of people that do other things, like what we're going to offer you tonight. Okay, so sit back and watch this, because this is important. You have to have hope. So a little warning here. You're going to hear information in this video that is entirely new to you. I guarantee that. And also, you're going to see your condition in a new light, and you may feel angry. You may feel upset that nobody told you about this information to this point in your life. But it's not too late. You're still here. Okay? How did I get into this? Well, write this down. Stop fighting cancer and start treating the cause. Dr. Kevin Connors, DC. Go to upperroomwellness.com, and you can download this book for free. This is my mentor. He's a chiropractor. He works in Minnesota. And he came to speak to a convention that I was speaking at. What happened was I deal with thyroid disease. I deal with metabolic disorders. And doctors fly me around the country to talk at conventions. And I was talking to 300 doctors down in Orlando, Florida. And Dr. Connors spoke after me. This is about 2 years ago. And I sat back after and I said, what's this guy doing? He's talking about cancer. And I left. And I went to Epcot with my wife. And I looked back on the gall that I had to actually leave, because what he was talking about was his practice and how he helps people with cancer. And I didn't realize that you could help people with cancer. I thought, like you had chemo, you had radiation, it either worked or you died. But Dr. Connors treats mainly stage 3 and 4 cancers. And I sat down with him after and I said, you know, Dr. Kevin, how many of these people do you really help? And he said, most of them. So, well, how many in the last few years have you had in your office? He said, well over 100. And what type of cancers? He said, oh, mostly stage 3 and 4. People don't come to me at the beginning. They do the white coat, you know, the oncologist route, and I get the ones that it's not working. So, well, all right, Dr. Kevin, how many of those people are still alive? And he looked at me and said, most of them, all but a few. And I said, so people really do well with these therapies. He's like, you got to go to this fellowship and listen to these doctors talk. And that's what I did, and that's my path, and that's how I've evolved. So here it is. It's from the American Academy of Anti-Aging. It's from the University of South Florida Medical School. And these are legit people. This isn't you know, a bunch of quacks sitting in some back room in northern Maine trying to help you. This is legit stuff. So let's learn about how it is. I want to tell you this. First and foremost, my office exists for people who are confused and have nowhere else to go. So if you don't come into my office, give me a call if you want to talk, or email. I'll show you how to do that. This is all about answers. This isn't about drawing patients in. This is about giving you solid evidence, because there's a lot of doctors around the country that do what I do, or similar things. You just have to decide what's right for you. Also, the goal for you is to start to take control of your disease versus it taking control over you. Power, knowledge. All right? We're going to talk about, in the next few minutes, I'm going to talk about the most common proven alternative cancer therapies. What really works out there? I'm going to talk about a few of them, because there's hundreds. How do you know? You get on the internet and you're searching, and this works, and this works, and this person says this works. How do you know? What we've done is put together the ones that really work well. How effective are they? How do they work? And where can I obtain these treatments? What you have to realize is this, is that you all have cancer cells. Everybody, I do. Those are just cells that are multiplying, hopefully not too rapidly, because your DNA is messed up. From what? What's bombarding us all day long? Toxins, chemicals, fungi, candida, bad foods. I mean, it's everywhere. There's 80,000 toxins in our environment. So whatever caused your cancer, we have to figure out what to do about it. So that's important, getting to the cause of it. So basically, those cells divide rapidly, and they form an acidic slime layer around them. So that's an important part of this, because the acidic slime layer keeps your immune system from identifying the cancer. So we're doing things, not bombarding the cancer. All right, that's for your oncologist, and there's a place for that. All right, if you have an aggressive cancer, you're going to want to knock it down with chemotherapy or radiation. That's just the way it is. You need to do that. That's why it's called integrative. There's a place for that. If you have a rapidly growing tumor, you may want to cut it out. Testicular cancer, it's great for that. You cut it out and get rid of it, and then you move on. But until you work with the immune system, you're going to have problems. So we all have cancer cells. It's what you're going to do with that cancer down the road that's important. All right, so once you've had cancer, this is an issue I want to talk about, because I had a guy come in my office the other day, and he was a husband of a patient, and he had a shirt that says, "I beat cancer." He had prostate cancer, and I said, that's great. And deep down inside, I was like, but what are you doing now? Because he has circulating tumor cells all throughout his body, and he better do something, because he has already had cancer, and in a lot of people, it's coming back. And that's not to scare you. I mean, for people in this country, 1 out of 3 to 50% of the population is going to get cancer. So you want to do something to diminish those circulating tumor cells and make sure it doesn't come back. So you don't just say, yeah, we killed it, it's gone. That's bad. All right, that's really bad, in my opinion. I think that you have to look at cancer once you have it as a chronic illness. You need to be looked at the rest of your life. And that doesn't mean that cancer controls your life, but you have to be doing things to your immune system to keep that cancer from coming back. Because more than likely, you did something wrong to have that cancer start. All right? Only 8 to 15% of cancers are genetic. 75% of cancers are from lifestyle problems in this country. So you pretty much know that you have to change your ways, or that cancer is going to come back. And that's what this is all about, helping you change your ways, make your immune system work better, so you have a better chance to fight that cancer and hopefully not be diagnosed in the future. So let's talk about this, because I think this is the most important part of this. And we won't get too deep into it, but Th1 and Th2, that represents your immune system. I'm going to talk to you about how it works, because if you don't understand this, you're never going to get better. You have to understand how you're working with your immune system. Th1 is the part of your immune system that hunts down the cancer. Look at it like Marines, all right? they're going in and they're trying to kill it. They're using all sorts of different mechanisms to do that. And when they hunt that cancer down, they kill it, and then cancer-free, right? Well, depends. The problem is most people with cancer are Th2 dominant. So Th1 are the Marines, Th2 is a command center. All right, they're the ones that sit back and they tell the Marines what to fight. They throw out antibodies and they remember the bad guys. But with people with cancer, Th2 is dominant, Th1 is suppressed. Those Marines are getting beaten up. So we have to find ways to get the Marines, all right, tumor necrosing factor, natural killer cells, all T cells, things that go after the cancer. We have to find ways to get that to work better. And here's the problem. As the cancer gets stronger and stronger, it builds an acidic slime layer around it. So all that sugar you eat, cancer loves sugar. It eats sugar 8 times as fast as a regular cell. And it spits out lactic acid, and it makes that acidic slime layer around the cancer tumor much more strong. So Th1, those marine cells that are going in there to try to kill it, they can't find it. They mask it. And all the while, the tumor's getting bigger and bigger until it takes over, and that's what happens. So there's ways to get Th1 to increase and Th2 to suppress. There's a lot of ways to do that. And there's ways to take that acidic slime layer and rattle it and wake it up so that your immune system can see it. These are things you're never going to hear about if you go with just a conventional approach. So we talked a little bit about cure. This isn't about a cure. This is about figuring out what your immune system's doing and how it's being suppressed and making it work better. Okay? Now, I want to try to take the high road here, but you have to understand that it isn't working, what we're doing in this country. When Nixon was around, he said that we're going to have a war on cancer. We're going to stop cancer. And 1 out of 21 people had cancer back then. 1 out of 2.5 people have cancer now. We're not doing the right thing. So what happens is this. Let's just talk to you a little bit, because I think you need to know where you're at when it comes to the conventional side. And this is all legit stuff. This all came from a book called Outsmart Your Cancer. The statistics are being fudged and manipulated. That's what it comes down to. Survive 5 years and you're cured. So I had a patient a few years back. She went through all the chemo treatments for breast cancer. They did everything to her. And she was about, I think she was about 5 months past that 5-year stage, and she died of breast cancer. Well, she was a survivor in their mind. She hit the 5-year mark, and she survived. So what they're trying to do is early detection, earlier, so you can hit that 5-year mark, and now you're a survivor. So that's not real good statistics. They don't do anything after it. Also, a lot of the studies are based on specific socioeconomic groups. Cancer is a perfect example. If you're African American or Hispanic, you have a much higher chance of having bad cancer when it comes to the lungs versus white people. So white people are going to have far less, they're going to be more statistically relevant to the researchers because they get better results. So it makes it look better. So we have to look at some of those things. They also include certain types of cancers in their studies, like ductal carcinoma in situ, or situ, as one of the doctors told us it's pronounced. You've got to look at that. That is a precancerous condition that a lot of doctors think are benign. And that's 30% of breast cancer. So they cure all these people of ductal carcinoma in situ, and what happens? It makes their numbers look better. So you have to dig. You have to make sure that you understand really what you're talking about with the statistics. Because statistics are just that. Anybody can make them look good. So don't be fooled. Make sure you know what you're talking about before you let somebody use chemotherapy on you or radiation or cut. All right, now, one of the things you want, talking about breast cancer, you need to understand that those cells have been multiplying for years, most of the time, upwards of 10 to 15 years, before they get to 1 million to 3 million in number, where that tumor is now the size of a pinhead, and you can see it on a MRI scan. Do you go run out the next day and cut your breast off? Or do you go out the other day, next day and rush into chemo? No, sit back. But for most of you, that's in the past. You've done a lot of this stuff, and you're looking for other answers. But I want to at least talk about this for those of you who maybe are new to the cancer world. So don't let people talk you into treatments that could mess you up down the road. Think about it before you do anything. Successful alternative treatments abound. They're all over the place. Unfortunately, what's happened is that every major success, almost every major guy in this country in the last 100 years that has come up with a quote-unquote cure for cancer has been pounded into the ground. People like Dr. Brzezinski and Dr. Kelly and Max Gerson and Royal Rife, these are not your run-of-the-mill people. These are brilliant scientists, PhDs, MDs that came up with different ways to really help cancer that were not pharmaceutical-based, and they got pounded. And that happens over and over again. I always like to say the turkey with the longest neck is the one that gets shut off, get their head shut off, and that's these guys. So that's what we've been dealing with. So we look at what these guys have been doing, and I utilize a lot of their therapies. And a lot of these, they have a lot of statistics and papers and proof that what they do works. But a lot of it's been suppressed, and it doesn't make the mainstream media, which is really sad. So why are they suppressed? Well, business, it's big. If you were the CEO of a pharmaceutical company, and someone came to you and said, I have a natural substance that is guaranteed to help the whole world be cured of cancer, you could do nothing with it. You couldn't, because it's a natural substance. You can't patent it and make it your own and make a profit off of it. So what do? If you were the CEO of a company, do you take the thousands of people in your family and just throw them out in the cold? No. I mean, that's not your business model. So that's what it comes down to. Unethical tactics occur in any field when large money is involved. That's just the way it is. And it's sad to say that. The FDA makes it very, very difficult to bring a new drug to market. It's $700 million to $1.3 billion. So when someone like Dr. Brzezinski has anti-neoplasms that work very well, he can't get it. He can't get the FDA to allow him to use it because it's so expensive. It just doesn't work. So pharmaceutical companies are not going to invest in those dollars without ultimately having a patent in their name to make money. That's just the way it is, okay? Because you can't patent natural substances. Another thing that's really sad, almost tragic, is the disbelief factor. Just like this says, is alive and well. And people will sit back and say, if there really are natural, non-toxic treatments out there for cancer, then why aren't all doctors using them? It's just sad. It really is. Doctor's education, a medical doctor's education, is really based on pharmaceuticals nowadays. And the pharmaceutical industry sponsors Harvard Medical School and Yale Medical School. They sponsor these guys. So their education is all about take this medication and work with this symptom. And I can see where they're coming from. That's the cool part of medicine is if I had this medication, I can help this person, good, let's do it. But they're not working with physiology quite as much as they need to. They don't understand the whole picture, and they're missing out on how to work with the immune system. So that's a problem. It really is. Also, these words here, standard of care, that's an issue. I mean, they can't do any of these alternative treatments because it doesn't follow the protocol that their hospital that they work for says they're supposed to do. So you have to understand that if you have a certain type of cancer, then you have to go with a certain type of chemotherapy or radiation or debulking, excision. You have to do that. You can't go giving somebody something else that's outside of that. You're going to lose your job. And if you push the issue, you can go to jail. So what I do is I don't treat. I'm not doing any of that. I let your oncologist do that. I'm just trying to get the immune system to work better. And I'm very careful on how we do that. Okay? I get this a lot. Should I have chemotherapy or not? Should I go with the conventional care or not? I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not treating your cancer. To make this decision or to go with someone like me, it's not easy. I'm not here to influence you one way or another. You have to sit back. When this question comes up, you have to sit back and pray or meditate or talk to your family and friends and make that decision on your own. Dr. Kevin Connors, he told me how he answers this question. This is what I do with my patients. And it's tough, but you have to look somebody in the eye and say, all right, Mrs. Smith, I can't answer this question for you. Only you can answer it. You have to picture yourself down the road, whatever that is, 2 months, 2 years down the road. Let's say you're on your deathbed and you're laying down, surrounded by family and friends. Would you regret the decision 2 years prior to have not done chemo? And if you can say yes, then you probably should not. You made the right decision. Conversely, if you went in that direction and you did alternative therapies and they didn't work, would you regret that decision, knowing that you did all you could? So you have to ask yourself those tough questions. And if you say, yeah, if I did all I could and I passed away, well, I did all I could. So that's how you make your decision. So I hope that helps. There's lots of things that go on, people that have cancer, that go on within their physiology. A lot of times they're not digesting nutrients. We see all the time, this should say hypochlorhydria, low stomach acid. You're taking Nexium and Prilosec and all these pills, and you're doing all these crazy things trying to get better, but you're not even digesting the nutrients. And your stomach is messed up because you have low stomach acid, and your intestines are messed up because you have parasites or yeast infections or fungal infections or all sorts of things, or you're toxic from heavy metals. These are reasons why people develop cancer. So in our office, we try to look at everything. And if I sense that you have these things, we're going to look. And this is part of getting your body to work better. We're going to do tests to see if you have some of these things, tests you probably haven't had done before. Now, the other thing we talked about was, I just mentioned, was trying to do all sorts of different supplements. You get on the internet and you look and you say, all right, vitamin E works, or Protocell works, or this, that, and the other works. You have to be careful, because natural substances can hurt you. Glutamine, CoQ10, glutathione. These are things I do in our office every day with our patients who have autoimmune disease, but not our cancer patients. These things all increase cellular respiration, and they make your cells work better, and they make cancer work better. So these are just some examples of things that you want to be careful to take. You don't just be careful what's on the internet. And just because it's on the internet, do not do it. That's where people like myself come in, who spend hundreds and hundreds of hours studying this stuff. So integrative therapies, what are there? If you come into our office, you will not be a patient of mine until you take one of these home. All right, you give me a deposit. It's $3,500 deposit. I take it in case you break it or disappear, and you take the machine home. And what this does is some amazing stuff. We talked about that slime layer around the tumors, that very acidic slime layer. Well, the Rife machine sends photons of light into your body at a specific wavelength that we have targeted just for you, because we've scanned you over 3 days in a row, and we can find out what wavelengths are reacting to the wavelengths in the Rife machine. So photons of light on certain wavelengths are sent into your body at different frequencies throughout the night. We have this work at night. The bulbs, it's a nighttime bulb you can use, and it vibrates certain frequencies in your body. And the theory is, what we think happens, and the reason so many people do well when it comes to cancer and the Rife machine, is we think it vibrates, it rattles that acidic slime layer, and it wakes up the Th1 response, those natural killer cells, those tumor necrosing factors, those marines. It wakes up the cancer cell, the tumor, to your immune system. And the cloaking device, so to speak, is lifted off, and your immune system can start to go after it. And we do this day after day after day at night. And it works very, very well. Dr. Royal Rife discovered this. I don't want to get too deep into this because I don't want this video to be too long. But look up Rife technology. Like everything you look up, you're going to see Dr. Rife was a quack. You're going to see cheap units. You're going to see a lot of stuff. You have to trust that that I've looked into this. We use a specific machine called the True Rife machine that uses photon Tesla bulbs, photon energy. So you got to look up this guy. He's a very interesting story. They said he cured cancer, and the AMA cracked down on him in the 30s, and he died penniless. But we're using that technology today with great results. Protocell, it's another liquid. It targets anaerobic cells, which are cancer cells. In the 1990s, the National Cancer Institute studies, the results were much better than chemo with a variety of different cancer types. But like everything, they said it was great, but they declined to study it further. So Protocell is something that works with a lot of people. Again, we test that out to see if it works for you. This is something I really want you to understand, because galectin-3 is a protein in your body, and its job is to take cells and mash them together and make tumors. It helps congregate tumors, and it helps make that tumor get a better blood supply. It increases angiogenesis. So if you have high levels of galectin-3 in your body, that means you have a propensity to make more tumors. So what if there was something that's been proven naturally to pull galectin-3 out of your body? What if it was out there? Well, there is. Absolutely there is. It's called modified citrus pectin. This is a very powerful natural substance. It really is. It comes from the pith of the orange, the white part of the orange. And there is a way that they break it into a very small, fine powder, and you drink it with juice over time. And what it does is it takes that galectin-3 and pulls it out of your body. It's amazing for prostate and breast cancer and skin cancer. It really works well. And again, there's studies, tons of studies that show modified citrus pectin works. It's out there. they're all over the place. So this is all from my integrative cancer therapy doctors. I mean, it's there. It's just you got to look for it. Okay? So check it out. Pectisol is the product we use. So it's out of San Francisco. So Isaac Elias, he is a doctor who came up with this. And I love this quote. Now, of course, he came up with it. So you would think modified citrus pectin would be a multi-billion-dollar drug if it could be patented by drug companies. And I believe that's true. This is one of those things that the drug companies are looking to do, is to get a pharmaceutical that does this, a chemotherapy agent that does this without the side effects, without killing your own cells. So it's very important. Everybody in our office does coffee enemas. A couple years ago, I would have never thought I would stand before a video and tell you how efficient coffee enemas are at detoxifying your body. Men seem to have problems with this, women not so much. But what happens is, briefly, and we have a whole video on this, is that coffee, if it goes in your colon, it goes right through into the hemorrhagic veins, right into your liver. And every 3 minutes, all the blood of the body is filtered through your liver. So if you can keep coffee in your colon for 15 minutes, you essentially flush your liver 5 times. You detoxify your liver. And for people with cancer, this is so important, especially if you've gone through chemotherapy, because you have toxins everywhere, and you need to help flush through the liver. So we teach you how to do that. You actually feel pretty darn good after, and it's not because of the caffeine. It's because your liver is clean. Right? And on a side note, we talked about TH1 being the Marines and TH2 being the ones who tell TH1 what to do. Coffee stimulates TH2. You don't want to be drinking coffee if you have cancer. You're already TH2 dominant. You don't want to drink something that makes TH2 work even more and suppress those Marines. Okay? So you want to do things that do this to your TH1, TH2 immune system. You don't want to be out of balance. Coffee will do that if you drink it here. But if you put coffee here, it's not the same thing. Gerson therapy. This is a perfect example of a dogmatic approach. They've been around. Dr. Max Gerson discovered in the 50s that if you juice and do coffee enemas, that you can be real healthy and you can beat cancer. They drove him out of this country, down to South America, like they did with most people. The turkey with the longest neck. The AMA drove him down there, and his daughter, to this day, is in her 90s. And talk about dogmatic, black or white. She hasn't changed anything. She still thinks that you need to do 13 juices and 5 coffee enemas a day and essentially spend your whole life obsessed with beating cancer. That's not my theory. Right? We modify this approach. We have you juice 16 to 24 ounces throughout the day. We have you do maybe 1, 2 juices, 1 coffee enema a day. It's my goal to get you to live life, all right? Not to be obsessed with fighting your cancer. We find the people that are all obsessed with that and they're not outside enjoying life, getting good sunshine, it doesn't work. All right? You need those endorphins. Cesium high pH therapy. This is good if you have a lot of tumors. This is really good. Cesium has an affinity for cancer cells. It goes after them and it alkalizes them to death. You got to be very careful how you do this. This can really mess you up, so you got to be careful with it. So those are just some things. We can go on and on. There's more. And I have videos on the site. There's a bunch of different videos that we're adding to every day. I might repeat a little bit of what I'm saying, but there might be some more information. So look on our website. You can see more. But what do you do right now? All right, so if I never see you again, if you never come to one of my talks or read my book, what do you do right now? Well, you can go to metabolictyping.com. You can look at what food is best for you, because some people have what's called an overdriven sympathetic body, meaning their sympathetic nervous system's really working hard. And they may need to eat not much meat. And then people have a parasympathetic-driven immune system, and they may need to eat a lot of meat. So it's different for everybody. There's not one way to eat. So go to metabolictyping.com. You've got to be careful with fruits. Fruits can convert over to sugar. And like I said, cancer cells love sugar. So some people need fruits, some don't. That's something you want to be aware of. Organic veggies, definitely go organic everything. One thing I did learn in the integrative approach is that pesticides are bad. Chemicals are bad. They're loaded in our food. So don't think for a second, just because you can't see it, it's not there. And there's not a lot of chemicals on your food. So go organic, go farm-raised, free range, do it. Be careful. Be obsessed with that. You've got to spend more money But especially if you have cancer, you have to stay away from everything toxic, and that's going to be pesticides. So organic veggies. Be aware of CoQ10, glutathione. A lot of people take that. Shouldn't. Glutamine is an amino acid that's found in meat. It's found in dairy, found in wheat. You want to stay away from glutamine. Glutamine definitely helps feed cancer, so be careful of that. Do coffee enemas. It's easy. It's easy to do. D3. I could talk about that all day long. Everybody takes D3 in our office if they have cancer. We have you do 20,000 international units. We use a really clean product. We use drops. Each drop has 2,000 international units. Vitamin D3, just in closing, I think it's the most important vitamin that you can take in. But my final thing we're going to say here on this is that vitamin D3, one of the jobs it does is it turns on those marines. It turns on T cells. The other job it does is makes calcium work. And calcium, the number one thing calcium does in the body, you think bone, right? Well, how does it do that? It keeps the body more alkaline. And cancer loves an acidic body. Okay, so we don't want to have a lot of acid. We want to be more alkaline. So those are some things you can do right now. You can also email me, jdonatello66@comcast.net. That's my home email. Not many people have this, but I'm at home studying. I study 3-4 days a week. We see patients 3 days a week, so I'm there a lot. You can ask my wife. I'm always at the computer. It's the best way to get a hold of me. 207-438-9339. That's my office in Kittery if you want to call. I will call you back. Can I help you? I don't know. If you want to give me a call, we can talk and see. These are my fees. Consultations, $185. 12 months is $10,500. We have a 6-month plan and a 3-month plan. Nutrition might be $200 to $500 a month. We have a RIFE. We have to have a security deposit for the RIFE, so you get that back afterwards. And you can fly in. If you're watching this and you're far away, you can fly in and you can land in Boston, and you can be here in an hour, and we can work on you all week, and we can get you out the door, and you can go on your merry way, and we can talk afterwards. So that's my program. I hope that the biggest thing you get out of this is that a diagnosis of cancer is not a death sentence, and you can survive, and you can thrive. You just got to have that knowledge, and knowledge is power, so never stop learning. My name is Dr. Jeff Donatello. I hope you learned a lot, and it's my hope that I can maybe meet you in the future and help you live a long life. Thank you very much.